If passion had an engine and a radiator that leaked occasionally, it would be an Alfa Romeo. This is the brand for people who choose a car with their soul rather than their calculator. For over a century, they have built the most beautiful heartbreaks on four wheels. They call it the sporting heart. We call it a beautiful obsession. Let us dive into the timeline of the most charismatic brand in history. The legend begins with the 24 HP in 1910. It was raw, noisy, and showed the world that Italy knew how to go fast before anyone else even tried. By 1922, the RL introduced the world to the four-leaf clover. It was a racing machine that brought luck to pilots and a glorious noise to the streets. The 6C 1750 from 1929 is pure rolling sculpture. It was so elegant that it made every other car on the road look like a farm tractor. In 1931, the 8C 2300 became the ultimate supercar of its era. It did not just win races, it bullied the competition into submission. The P3 arrived in 1932 as a technical masterpiece. It was the car that made Tazio Nuvolari a god of the asphalt and redefined Grand Prix racing. As the shadows of war loomed in 1938, the 6C 2500 was the last word in pre-war luxury, a gentleman's express for the elite. The Alfetta 158 is a literal giant killer. It was designed in '38, but dominated the first ever Formula One seasons like it was child's play. After the war, the 1900s saved the company in 1950. It was the first Alfa built on a production line, but it still had a racer's heart. The 1952 Disco Volante looks like it fell off a spaceship. It was an aerodynamic experiment that proved Alfa's designers were living in the future. 1954 gave us the first Giulietta. She was the sweetheart of Italy, a small car that drove with more spirit than 1,000 boring sedans. The 2000 series from 1958 was big, heavy, and incredibly prestigious. It was for the man who had made it and wanted everyone to know. The original Giulia arrived in 1962 as a boxy sedan that could outrun sports cars. It proved that aerodynamics are more than just rounded edges. The TZ series from 1963 represents Zagato art at its peak, a tubular space frame wrapped in a body so light it felt like it could fly. 1965 brought the GTA, the lightweight king. It was stripped of every gram of fat to become the most successful touring car in history. The Spider Duetto from 1966 became a movie star. It stayed in production for nearly 30 years because you simply cannot improve on a Sunset Drive. In 1967, the 33 Stradale defined perfection. It is widely considered the most beautiful car ever made, and its V8 engine is pure opera. The 1750 GT Veloce is the ultimate Bertone coupe. It is the car every enthusiast pictures when they close their eyes and dream of classic Italian style. 1970 gave us the Montreal, a Gandini masterpiece with a racing V8. It was Alfa's attempt at an exotic muscle car, and it looked spectacular. The Alfa Sud from 1971 was a front-wheel drive revolution. It handled like a dream, but unfortunately had a strange habit of returning to the earth as rust. The Alfetta sedan in 1972 moved the gearbox to the back for perfect balance. It was a technical marvel that made every corner a joy. By 1977, the new Giulietta brought wedge styling to the family man. It looked like it was moving at 100 miles an hour while standing still. The Alfa 6 from 1979 was a big, thirsty brute. It introduced the legendary Busso V6 engine, which sounds better than most modern orchestras. 1980 saw the GT-V6 take that Busso engine to the big screen. It was so cool that even James Bond used one to outrun the police. The 33 from 1983 was the boxer-engined hero. It was loud, proud, and kept the company alive during some very difficult financial years. The 75 arrived in 1985 as the last of the old-school breed. Rear-wheel drive, transaxle, and a personality that demanded a skilled driver. The 164 from 1987 was a wedge of Italian cool. It was the first big Alfa to use a front-wheel drive platform shared with others. 1989 gave us the SZ, also known as the Monster. It was ugly, brutal, and handled so well it defied the very laws of physics. The 155 took Alfa back to the top of the podium in '92. It smashed the Germans in their own backyard during the DTM Championships. 1994 brought the 145 and 146. They were strange-looking hatchbacks that offered a refreshing break from the boring German competition. The 916 Series GTV arrived in '94 with a nose that looked like it was sniffing the ground for its next victim. A modern classic. 1 year later, the 916 Spider gave us the open-top version. It was the perfect car for looking stylish while waiting for a tow truck to arrive. The 156 from '96 was a masterpiece of design. It hid the rear door handles and made the world fall in love with Alfa again. The 166 was the thinking man's luxury sedan in '96. It had an interior like a high-end lounge and a V6 that sang. In the year 2000, the 147 brought Italian flair to the hatchback segment. It was beautiful, fast, and much more exciting than a Golf. The GT from 2003 was Burton's swan song. It was a practical coupe that looked like it belonged in a gallery of fine modern art. 2004 gave us the 159. It has the most aggressive face in automotive history and still looks brand new 20 years later. The Brera from 2005 is a concept car for the road. It is heavy and difficult to see out of, but who cares when you look that good? In 2007, the 8C Competizione returned. It used a Maserati V8 to remind the world that Alfa can still build world-class supercars. The Mai 2 arrived in 2008 as a baby Alfa. It had the face of an 8C and the spirit of a city car for the youth. The modern Giulietta from 2010 was the bread and butter model for a decade. A solid hatchback with enough curves to satisfy any Italian heart. 2013 brought the 4C, a carbon fiber baby supercar. It has no power steering and very little comfort, which is exactly why we love it. The new Giulia in 2016 was the return to greatness. Rear-wheel drive, 500 horsepower, and a chassis that makes every BMW feel like a bus. The Stelvio arrived in 2017 to prove that an SUV can actually handle. It is essentially a Giulia on stilts, and it is shockingly fast. In 2022, the Tonel brought Alfa into the hybrid era. It is the high-tech brother that still remembers how to wear a sharp Italian suit. The journey ends for now with the 2020 433 Stradale, a limited masterpiece that bridges the gap between a glorious past and an electric future. So there you have it, a century of cars that spend half their lives in the workshop and the other half in our hearts. Owning an Alfa is like dating a supermodel who has a gambling addiction and a terrible temper. It is expensive, it is stressful, and it will probably end in tears. But when the engine starts and the road opens up, you realize that every other car is just a machine, while an Alfa is alive. Thank you for watching Autography. Don't forget to check your oil and your pulse.